Intent Nation, it is day 22 of the challenge, and if you have not gone into Slack in the last day or so, make sure you do. You should be going into it every day, but make sure you go in. Well, I guess if you're watching this video, you're going to Slack, but you got to go in and pay attention to the scam precautions, okay? So go in, become reacquainted with all the things you need to do prior to your scan, okay? Like, not drink alcohol the day before, or you shouldn't be drinking alcohol, period. No caffeine within 12 hours, don't work out, eating should be at least 4 hours out from the scan, etc., etc. No metals, okay, no heavy clothing, all of that stuff, okay? All right, am I centered on this thing? It always drives me crazy if I'm not centered. I think I'm centered. All right. Any more announcements here? All right, one thing I just want to say. The more you eat out, the harder this challenge will be for you, okay? Just generally speaking, that's just the case. Of course, if you go out and you eat clean, I actually really hate that word, or that term when it comes to eating. I should use, if you eat more basic, you'll be much more likely to be successful in your estimation of food, okay? And maybe if you're a real keener, you'll take a scale with you, you'll pull it out of your purse or your jacket pocket, and you'll weigh out your food. It's been done. I've seen it before, by the way. That's what you could do. But if you're eating something like, somebody mentioned to me hot pot, chances are that food's going to be super fat dense. Something like hot pot will be super fat dense, and it's just going to be impossible to actually estimate what's in there. Okay, so what's a good example? I know I mentioned this a few times. Chicken and rice, or steak and potato, or fish and some vegetables, and I don't know, quinoa or something. Okay, so things that you can look at, you can make a good estimation on how much it is. And generally with meats, the restaurant will know exactly how much they're giving you. Okay. All right. Question: will weight training make my boobs disappear? Okay, they have not made my boobs disappear. This will actually only give me more boob. Okay, but I don't think this person is the person that's asking this is not male. This person's female, and I guess there is a fear that this person will lose their boobs. No, the answer to you is no. You will not lose your boobs. Okay, so if you build more pec, that's just going to go towards your boob. Now, towards the overall mass of your chest. Okay, well, we'll just use boobs because that's what the question was. But what can happen is if you lose fat in the area, so there's a difference between breast tissue and then body fat, right? Those are sort of two different things. So if you lose some of the body fat in that area, yeah, which happens when you get leaner, then you can, I guess, lose a bit of that boob mass. But that's not because of indirectly working your chest. It's just that through the whole process, you've lost some fat. Now, that all being said, if you add more muscle to that area and you lose some fat, okay, let's actually not even say that. If you add more muscle and everything stays the same, the ratio of fat to muscle changes, right? So you may think, well, I can see more muscle there. I think I'm losing my boobs. No, it's just you built more muscle, okay? If you build more muscle and then you lose some fat from there, it may have the appearance that you lost your boobs. But adding more pec is only going to add more boob, okay? Next question. How to know how much weight to be lifting? All right, so this is just going to come with time, okay? Unless you did your 1 rep max or 5 rep max or whatever Kenneth had you do, you're not really going to know. So as we go through especially your major movements in the gym, because this is ultimately what we're talking about more. We're not talking about arm curls here, right? We're talking about your bench press, your deadlifts, your squats. You may not know whether you can squat 50 pounds for 10 or 100 pounds for 10 or whatnot. So the idea here is to utilize those total amount of sets that we do to figure this out. And you can almost figure this out. Well, maybe that's maybe that's a little bit too simplistic, but maybe not right away, I should say. You know, it may require more experience. But the idea is that when you start your first set, you know, you're using an easy weight, and then you're adding some weight for your next set, and then you're adding some even more, like adding more weight to get up to that that closer number to being your 10 rep or whatever max we're doing that day. Okay, let's just say it's 10 reps. Okay, so you should be able to, maybe not right away, but as the weeks go on, you should be able to figure out what you've done in the past, or you should have a record of what you've done in the past. You should not figure it out. You should have a record because you're writing it down, right? You're taking some notes. And then trying to build upon that, okay? Now, I will say that in the beginning, it doesn't really matter what you do. Everything's new, so there's going to be the amount of change that the muscles are being put through, it's already like super high because you haven't been doing anything, right? So the relative change is high. But after a couple weeks of doing the same thing, then we need to be a little more in tune with the weights that we are pushing, right? Because the body is already adjusting to that, right? Okay. And I want to remind you all that the way you make improvements, at least in the gym, well, I guess really in any aspect, in any or in most, if not all, components of fitness, is to basically subject the body to a stimulus it's not used to, and as a result, the body will adjust itself to that stimulus. That adjustment is the progress that you'll see. Okay, so we need to keep pushing heavier weight. Okay, with obviously under the guise of, you know, proper form, proper cadence, proper mechanics, control, all that stuff. Okay, so just to recap, how will you know how much weight to be lifting? Take notes. That's the first thing. Use those build-up sets that we do in the beginning. Okay, like if we're doing, you know, squats, we always do like, you know, 3 or 4 build-up sets, and then we do a final, like, you know, 10 rep max. Okay, that's very common. Okay, or if that's not exactly what we do, it'll be something very similar. Those build-up sets are taking you to that max weight that you're used to. Okay, and again, take notes. And like I said, it may take a few sessions to get to know what this number is. And by the way, this number changes, right? Because you get stronger through time. All right, hopefully that makes sense. Next question. Multiple green check marks in myfitnesspal. I'm already at 8 minutes. Okay, let's be really quick about this one. Multiple check marks in myfitnesspal. Okay, so I had this question from actually a few people, and they say, well, there's multiple. So these green check mark boxes that are beside food items in myfitnesspal, these are basically verified. It basically means that the food has been verified for its nutritional content or its macronutrient content. So why is it different from food to food if the food is the same, right? So if it's chicken breast, why do two different entries of chicken breast have the green check mark? Why are they different? Well, the reason is more than likely because the default amount is different. So for example, you'll have one listing of chicken, and the default amount will be 1 ounce. So that'll be like, you know, 6 grams of protein. But then another one down, the default amount will be 100 grams. That's 3.5 ounces. That'll be like 20 grams of protein. So you might look at it and be like, well, that one's 6 and that one's 20. The question is how much is the default amount, okay? So make sure you pay attention to that. Also, make sure you pay attention to whether it's cooked or raw. This will make a big difference, a huge difference, especially in foods that you cook in water and absorb water, like rice, okay? There is a huge difference between a raw cup of rice versus a cooked cup of rice, okay? Huge. So pay attention to that, all right? All right, mess of the day. Mess of the day is this. And this goes back to maybe like my 3rd challenge I did, and I never really thought about this till somebody mentioned it to me. But I want you to know, and maybe you are struggling, or maybe I would say there's probably not a lot of you struggling with this, but there might be some of you out there, that in order for you to be able to best take care of others, you need to take care of yourself. Okay? Now, I may not be the best person to be preaching this because, well, I mean, obviously I take care of myself. I think you guys probably know that by now. But I'm also like, I'm probably like one of the most selfish people that you'll ever meet. so, so maybe I'm not, the best person to be saying that, this is a good way to be able to take care of other people. But really it is, because you have to be happy with yourself. You have to be emotionally and physically content, spiritually content with yourself in order to be able to better, foster your energy with somebody else, right? So, I mean, listen, we've all been around, I think, at some point in our lives with somebody who's miserable, who's somebody who seems like they're grumpy or angry with you or blah, 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 blah. But it's never been about, you. It's been about that one person, right? And why they are so unhappy. And that's really just one aspect of this whole thing. The point is that for you to be able to better take care for somebody else, emotionally, physically, spiritually speaking, you need to be happy and content with yourself. You need to take care of yourself. And, of course, if you want to be there for the long haul, you got to take care of yourself, right? So there's a happy medium with this, right? And again, with everything I put in this challenge, I'm trying to make it as reasonable as possible, right? The 4.5 hours of exercise per week, the reasonable amount of calories. I think you guys probably all agree that your calories are definitely on the they're not on the lower end, right? In terms of what you're used to. Well, with the types of foods you're eating, of course. Okay? So, if you want to better take care of others, you need to take care of yourself, okay? It's just the way it is, all right? And with that said, positive energy, positive vibes, believe in yourself, and for the love of humanity, give some gratitude. You ought to be thankful for everything you have. We are among the luckiest people on this earth. I will tell you a story very shortly here. I think it's really cool about, the life of somebody else is very different than ours. It's a cool story. I always tell it. Probably some of you know it if you've done my challenge before, but I'll tell it again, okay? Anyways, I'm rambling. I'll talk to you guys all very soon. Keep up with the results on the scans. A lot of people are doing awesome on the scans. Keep it up, and I'll give you guys a kind of rundown at the end, okay? See ya. Have a good day. Stick to your macros. Stay away from alcohol. Believe in yourself.